Yeah, I think my college years, in the early years, as I said, I had to restart. Like, I'd never been to any school. Went and do adult literacy, learning English and English literature like I'd never been there. But one thing I've discovered, especially with maths, is that, you know, in Jamaica, I wasn't good at maths. I would never even consider doing a math subject. But yet, while I was at college, I think I ended up conquer the fear of maths because I had support.
Yes.
You know, there were people in the college that was willing to sit you down and break it down, and then all of us, you started to realize there's a pattern here. It's, you know, the numbers are only different, but there's a pattern between anything. And I think the difference is in the early years education, you got one teacher for like 30 students. Teachers doesn't got the time to stop to break things down. And then if you fell behind, it seems like you're eternally behind unless you can go home and put that work in. But then when you go home, you realize, no, your parents is not on that thought process. Chores above everything else. So you do 1,000,001 chores, and by the time you get to revising, you're busted, you know, and then you turn up at school the following day.
It depends on the family.
Underprepared, you know, and so forth. So me at this stage in life, I'm just, you know, I couldn't just give up and just say, well, many other people were in the same boat. But I think, no, this is my own story. You know, I will see where this end up. And at the moment, you know, it opened me up to a lot of other things. You know, I can have an audience with people who at one point I would shy away from. You know, there's more to discuss, you know, and that is what is important, I believe, in education. Not the amount of subject you pass or the certificate. It's all you can apply yourself amongst other people. You know, socially or economically doesn't make no difference because what you know, you know.
And that's why I said, you know, it's never too late to learn. You know what I mean? Because I'm never ashamed to say, you know, I mean, I don't know something and I want to learn. You know what I mean? I'm always up for learning. You know what I mean? So that's it. Always improving yourself.
Yeah, obviously a lot of education does prepare you for the next stage of life, just work, etc., etc. So for me, whatever I studied during university, school, I'm using that every day at work. So yeah, it's been a big preparation for me. What I did want to obviously talk about is obviously the perspective of teachers in comparison to back home, let it be Jamaica or India, to here. See, back home there is a view of that teachers are basically godlike because obviously they're shaping your future, they're giving you that education. So there's a certain level of obedience towards teachers where when they enter the class we all have to stand up, and that's the type of respect they have. And like you mentioned earlier, say if we go up to them and say, oh yeah, we're not able to understand this, they're firstly trying to, you know, they say, why you're not understanding it, we taught you this. Whereas I think in complete contrast here, teachers are pretty much very much looked at very friendly and approachable, and you know you could go and talk to them one-on-one and they'll be able to help you.
True.
So how's that like in Jamaica? So is it similar?
Similar to what you said, because I remember days I used to be in class and I don't understand certain things, and you try to even ask a teacher. You know, I mean, as I said earlier, there's sometimes you can find a teacher overwhelmed with too many students, so they haven't got the opportunity to one-on-one and help you. You know, I mean, even some of these teachers, they used to like shame me, you know, they feel bad, so it was a bit scared to even go to them and ask. And again, you don't want to be laughed at as well as kids shame you and laugh at you, don't know some. But for me, it was cool, it was good. You know, luckily I knew a few things again, I could help myself. But I've seen other kids been through stuff, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good feeling.
On the flip side of that, I think with these things, you just have to be brave. You know, because we're scared of the scrutiny. We're scared of being laughed at. It's natural. But at the end of the day, you will still have to live for yourself. And I realize that.
But as a kid, as a child, I mean, you don't. I mean,
but my best time in the early years was when I was being brave. Because I am not talking about now being brave. I'm talking back then, right? As I said, it was a struggle. Yeah. You know, when you touch down in Titchfield and then you see everybody around you look nice with the John Sports. You see what I'm saying? And you just have a regular bag. You see, people are wearing Nikes and all that stuff.
Clarks.
And you wearing what? Not even Reebok, what they call Reebok or something like that, some knockoff shoes. So you see, but the appearance is one thing, but what you want should be greater. And that's how I end up finishing school, because I have to ignore. I've spent times in the schoolyard hungry. Now I have no lunch. Right, but I wanted to be at school. Me and another friend of mine at the time, we used to go sit on the seaside when lunchtime, because I didn't have money to buy any lunch and I just can't watch people to eat. Right?
Remember the days, man.
You know, I still, you know, it would be easier to stay home when you're under no scrutiny, but school felt so good. It felt like a place of freedom. So therefore, it doesn't matter. I remember I used to go to the fields on a Sunday to dig yams. Right? Bring on the bus Monday morning, trade with the teacher. Gave her yams, she gave me money. And so I end up, you see what I'm saying? So when I'm saying all of this, I'm saying I've been through the struggles as well. You know, a lot of folks don't even know about, because what they see is the end product, but you know, they didn't realize, you know. I remember I had this thing where I have $1 coin in my pocket. And it says, from Monday to Friday, right? It's $1. You see what I'm saying? But it's just anything to motivate me, to have me going there.
School helped me throughout them days, like yourself, and you know. Because we as well, we didn't have much, and I mean, we were poor, but back then we didn't realize we were rich. You know what I mean? Because financially, we didn't have it. But my grandma, she did her best, you know. And sometimes we used to go to school. We didn't even have lunch money, but the principal, she used to help us out, and some of our friends, sometimes, you know, they used to help us out with lunch money and stuff. So I remember them days. When I look back now, I'm like, wow. Them days really taught me a lot, you know? It taught me a lot. So,
even me, when I went back to Jamaica for the first time after all these years, the first 2 places I visited was the schools. You know, just have to remember what they looks like and remember that feel. And you know,
take you back, innit?
What was great is that a teacher that gave me a good beating, because she asked me to make sentences and I find the meaning for words, right? But you know what I love about that teacher? She rated me, right? Because she knows I had abilities. And the first time she saw me back, you know, she was filled with joy, because you know what? I went back more educated than I left. And you know, so we can relate, because you know, when she talks, I will start. You know, I just finished college, bring my certificates to say, look, you see, I was doing something all this time. You know,
teachers can be,
you know,
good to you back then. Some
and even here in England, when I was going through some of my toughest time in life, you know, the first port was going back to college, and once I got in, I started to have the best of time. Even though the struggle's still out there, when I come out of those doors, you know, life is still what it is. But I know tomorrow I'm going back in, and I'm back into my own zone. Met some great friends, you know. Socially, I've met so much people from different backgrounds, different races, that I couldn't want anything more than that. And it, you know, it propels me to be what I am today. You know, those exposure. And I'm glad I didn't just give up, you know. So I think overall education should be compulsory. And if you're in a country where it's poor, I think you should still put a budget across to say this is for education and health, nothing else.
Every leaders in every country, they should do that for their people, man. It should be compulsory. You know, they should be struggling to just learn to know simple basic stuff.
You know, I think if you can't afford anything else, you're supposed to be able to get education. Because it's not just education is not for just locally, you know. Because when you go further afield, you also be able to, you know, easier integrated, put it that way, because you know something. Then when you go in, you're thinking, oh, am I supposed to be here? That is not a good feeling. You know, you don't want nobody to question your literacy. You know, so that's my take on it.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah.
I agree with you, bro. Yeah, definitely.
Go school kids.
Going back on the bit we just spoke about, you didn't have certain things when you're going to school, like bags and shoes and all that. I can remember, for me, a lot of time we used to wear bare feet to school, you know what I mean, barefoot, no shoes. Sometimes we have one shoes, you know what I mean, you look after it, you know what I mean, like, it's your son the best, you know what I mean, you take care of it, you don't want it to destroy it, you know what I mean, you wear it to school, but sometimes your parents can't afford it, so you know what I mean, sometimes they're walking and the bottom just fall off, you know what I mean. I remember sometimes I used to rip the front of my shoe off, you know, because we have to walk miles uphill to school, you know what I mean, even though we were fit, strong, because I look at it now, it's like exercise, but I remember days I used to go to school bare feet, and I remember I used to run, kick my big toe, I used to kick it off, and it used to be like bleeding, and sometimes like when it's healing, bro, kick it off again when it's healing is worse than when you actually did it, man. That pain, I'm telling you. I remember them days, bro, but them days built me, you know what I mean? I don't look back at it and like moan about it, you know what I mean? Because it was also fun. I was enjoying school back then. My school days, I used to go to the school called Mount Industrial Age. Those was my best time going to school, with friends and everything, games we used to play and all that. Did enjoy school days back then, But good times, man, good times,